Unbelievable. Now, this is the officers talking about Mayor Bottoms and Stacey Abrams.
The mayor up there, she's already fired the officer. And without a hearing. And she's pushing real hard. They say she's now the front runner to be Joe Biden's vice presidential candidate.
You kidding?
Because if I had a fucking mayor, I'd rather the mayor than Stacey Abrams.
Yes, sir.
Hamilton.
Soulmates, wait, there's more. This is the officers discussing slavery.
On a plantation. So he was in charge of all the slaves. And there was some article or something about something he did in the paper, and the newspaper said that whatever his name was, says he was known to be the meanest man alive.
Really? Well, you know what now, I don't know if this has any merit back in the slave times, but I'm sure there was a lot of them mistreated. I don't have no doubt about that. But for the most part, it seems to me like they furnished them a house to live in. They furnished them clothes to put on their back. They furnished them food to put on their table, and all they had to do was fucking work.
And now we give them all those things, and they don't have to fucking work.
That's it. That's it.
Let's take a deep breath for a minute.
Because
very
also,
disturbing.
Like raped and murdered and beat them. That was also kept them in physical chains. It wasn't like, hey, we gave you a job and free clothes. Like,
You brought us over here against your will to build for you, to care for your crop, to take care of your children, you know? And they're having this conversation, okay, if there's body cam, I'm assuming they're on duty or should be on duty, and this is the conversation you're having. This is why we have to understand that this is far from over. We had a lot of first-time things happen as far as politics, people getting in certain seats, but we got a lot of work to do because there's still some generations that think like this. And that's the scary part. It really is. I mean,
For sure.
well, number one, I think when I see this and I see, okay, they've been fired, but I think really important after that is that every single case that either of them were involved in, and as the chief, it looks like every single case through their entire time there, justice means taking a look into every single case. And I know that seems like a pipe dream and ridiculous, but how can you not see that and see very clearly how someone feels about Black Americans and then not take a second look at everything they've been involved in as far as law enforcement and Black Americans?
Yeah. You know,
how can you not?
How can you not? And when people think about, oh, Black Lives Matter, this whole movement, so much is going on. You guys, we're giving you so much right now. When I heard people have that conversation on social media, I'm like, are you kidding me? Do you not understand what we've been through and what we're still going through and how they even feel about it? I mean, that's...
Well, you know what? That's why I think that it's very important, body cameras. I mean, we're seeing so much, just honestly, these two stories back to back, we've seen, you know, some good stuff on the body camera. So, you know, when I forgot what story it was that we were talking about once before, where they're trying to figure out if we should do body cameras and should always give the footage. Like, some good stuff comes from body cams.
Well, that explains why most of the time they don't want to have them on.
I agree. I agree. Okay, now 2 Atlanta police officers who were fired for using a stun gun and excessive force on 2 college students last summer during protests over the death of George Floyd have now been reinstated. Now, on Monday, February 1st, the Atlanta Civil Service Board ruled in favor of the officers, Mark Gardner and Ivory Streeter, allowing them to be reinstated with back pay. The city did not follow the personnel regulations of the Atlanta Code of Ordinances in the dismissal of officers Gardner and Streeter, according to board's ruling. Now, the Atlanta Police Department argued that the officers should have been given 5 days to respond to the accusations against them, but that did not happen. Both officers were fired just 1 day after video of the violent encounter with the students went viral. Now, the craziest thing for me about this was that the Civil Service Commission, they weren't even saying that their actions were wrong, were justified. They're not saying, oh, the actions were justified. They're just saying the process was done right. The process was done wrong. And so my thing is, I feel like they used these 2 Black cops as a guinea pig because, you know, we have so much hatred for cops, but there's so much hatred for cops going around. I feel like they wanted to be like, oh, look at one of your own. One of your own, they attacked 2 kids and now they're off. I feel like they just used these 2 Black cops to be able to try to take some of the hatred off of cops as a whole, if that makes sense. I feel like it makes sense in my head what I'm trying to say.
No, I see exactly what you're saying. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, easy to use black police officers as a scapegoat, because
Yes,
if you
scapegoat.
can say that, see, it's not a racism thing because
Exactly.
these black officers did it, but
There
it's
we
a
go.
systemic
That's it.
thing, and black people can still participate in white supremacy. It's a systemic thing, and it's very clearly a systemic thing. The craziest thing about this for me is that this was caught on live news.
Yeah.
This was caught, like, it was just supposed to be general video of the protest. This was caught on live news, and not only that it was caught on live TV, but that it happened just hours after the mayor of Atlanta and two
Yes.
prominent rappers got up and told everybody to go home because this type of police brutality doesn't happen in Wakanda. They got a lot of criticism because a lot of people were saying, hey, as in touch as you are, your money has slightly taken you out of what the rest of us have to deal with every day. And that proved it. And I think, everyone else kind of came back and you saw those same people, protesting, immediately. And they've also always been with the community. So it's not a total indictment. It's just that we can't say this doesn't happen anywhere.
Yeah, that is so true. And you think about that. Now, those police went on record to say they've been working for over 20 hours. They saw the driver reach, and that's why they reacted. Thank God they reacted with a taser and not a gun. If they weren't black cops, that could have been a different situation. Just keeping it honest, that's how I feel about it.
Yeah.
And I just think, like, they were so quick to react to say they're fired, they're done. But it's a longer process when it comes to other situations when people actually lose their lives.
Yeah.
If you do that to me, though, I don't care what you look like. I want you fired, too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Immediately.
I agree.
That video was scary to watch, too.
Okay, check this out, soulmates. A suspect in the January 6th Capitol riot was reportedly given court permission to travel to Mexico for a vacation this month. Attorneys for Jenny Louise Cudd of Texas filed a motion on Monday asking the court to take a work-related bonding trip with her employers to Riviera Maya, Mexico from February 18th to the 21st. Now, Cudd's attorney said she planned the trip prior to the riot and argued that she has no criminal history. USA Today reported that a U.S. magistrate ordered her pretrial travel restrictions to be amended to allow the trip. 2 days after the riot, Cudd gave a television interview in which she stated, "We the Patriots did storm the U.S. Capitol, and yes, I would absolutely do it again." Cudd was released on bond on January 21st until her next hearing on Thursday. She was ordered to stay away from D.C. except for court appearances or for meetings with her attorney. Meanwhile, a memorial service was held today for Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick, who died from injuries inflicted by rioters on January the 6th, and whose ashes were brought to lie in honor in the Capitol Rotunda Tuesday evening. Here's a lady that was running for mayor, I believe, in Midland, Texas. I wanted the people of Texas knew this is how she felt. And she even said other things like, yeah, we did break down Nancy Pelosi's
She
door.
sure did.
We did take the gavel. And, like, we would do it again.
This video was wild.
She committed a crime and saying she would do it again, yet you give her a pass to take a vacation.
First of all, how does she even have a job? Like, I'm still trying to figure out, like, people like to fire. I don't like to use the word Karen. I know we don't like to use that word Karen, but like, we've so many people have been fired and lost their jobs from, similar occurrences. Like, how does she even have a job? Number one. Number two, it's like a work trip. Like, but you know what? Honestly, how can we even be upset at Jenny? It's her name for exercising her white privilege.
Cudd, yeah.
How can we be upset at her? We really can't, right?
She flexed on that.
We're right. We really cannot be upset at her using her white privilege and saying, hey, I would like to go on a work trip to Mexico. Like, you can't be mad at her. If they let her go, then,
What does it say?
You know what it said.
Absolutely.
Right? She stormed the Capitol. If that was a Black Lives Matter movement storming the Capitol, there have been a lot of funerals.
Right, our producer Nicole just said, let's see if she comes back. That's a big point to make. You're letting someone leave the country. I think what's interesting, her pretrial restrictions basically said she's too dangerous to be in Washington, D.C., unless it's for legal matters. But she's not too dangerous to fly internationally.
I mean, honestly,
And
During
go
a
on
pandemic.
vacation during a
During a
pandemic.
pandemic.
She's too I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. No, finish.
Just that she's too dangerous to be in the nation's capital. She can't even come to the area because she's too dangerous. But she should get on a plane and go to another country. And do the Mexican people deserve this? I don't think so.
Oh, that's a good point right there, too, Britt. Well, I was just going to say, like, if I was her friends or coworkers, I wouldn't even want to be around that. Like, I wouldn't even want that energy. Like, I wouldn't want anyone looking at my video and knowing where she's at. Like, I wouldn't want to be, a part of that at all.
What is that conversation like? she's boasting at this point.
I would definitely want to get the tea, though. I would be like, girl, tell us what happened. Like,
she did. Okay. Congresswoman Jackie Speer wants President Joe Biden to declare white supremacy and violent extremism a national security threat by way of executive order. She also wants federal agencies to screen all incoming military recruits for violent extremism on social media, and she wants the same for those seeking government security clearances. She sent a letter to the president writing she is alarmed by this growing threat and that the U.S. government and the Department of Defense are not effectively screening service members. She wrote, social media platforms are frequently used by domestic terrorist groups to recruit members and plan violent attacks. Yet social media is not reviewed during the military's accessions process or even as part of the background investigation process for security clearances. She also, addressed this letter to Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin and National Intelligence Director Avril Haines. And I think an interesting note, because she's right, she's making a strong point. But do you all know that Jackie Speer, you know what happened in Jonestown with Jim Jones and the mass murder, suicide? She was a congressional aide who was shot 5 times during that and left for dead and survived. She has been through a lot. She knows about terrorism. She knows about threats. She's experienced it herself. And she's saying, hey, this is a problem. While on the other hand, you got someone accused of being part of that system being allowed to go on vacation.
Well, here's my issue. Go. No, well, I was just going to say, my issue with, I feel like for Black and brown people, right? I feel like we're like, well, why is it such a hard concept for you to understand, making white supremacy a national threat, right? But if we think about it, if Joe Biden, for example, the president, if they acknowledge the fact that white supremacy is a national threat, then they have to first define what white supremacy is, right? So then if they say that, they address that I'm a part of white supremacy, then I feel like that makes them be like, well, what's happening to my job? What's going to happen to my opportunities? And they don't want to do that. So I feel like, the President Joe Biden, he's doing a good enough job. This is just an example. He's like, throwing us enough bones where we could feel like, okay, they're helping us, but not enough where they don't sacrifice their positions and their jobs and where they are in their careers.
And when you think about social media, like you think about the average age, 41%, 16 to 24 watch TikTok. There was a junior officer that was investigated for posting video about his hatred toward Jewish people, and he has 3 million followers. So you're getting into the kids' heads while they're young, you know what I'm saying? So I think it's important they expand this and make sure they check all areas when it comes to getting military. We cannot have them breach our military.
Agreed.
All right. Oh, I'm loving the conversation today, team. I am loving it. We are getting to the facts. Okay, now, some more facts and good stuff is happening in our YouTube chat right now, and I love it. My girl, Dina, she says it's ground for, actually, So Be It One, I'm sorry, says it's grounds for termination if you don't wear your body cam in a department. And, it should seem like it's, like it's a simple theory, but, hey. So Jersey Club says someone needs to be held accountable for those deaths. Oliver says every single person caught on the Capitol should have been charged with murder, period. Ooh, that's intense. Now, keep those comments coming. In the meantime,